What I want to do is I want to show you a couple things that we did over the summer that I think were pretty cool, but it was kind of too much to put in the first video, so I thought I would separate it. What you're looking at here are pictures of the outside of what's called Grant's Cottage. Grant's Cottage is not the house that he lived in or grew up in, but it is a house that he went to at the end of his life when he was sick. He had throat cancer and he was really ill, and his doctors recommended that he go to the mountain resort in upstate New York to be able to better breathe and have clean air to help him feel better towards the end of his life. And he went there to write his memoirs. And his memoirs are basically his autobiography, the story that he wrote about his life and his time serving during the Civil War. And he was our 18th president of the United States after the Civil War, a famous Civil War general. And he was the 18th president from 1869 to 1877. Here is a picture of Grant sitting on the porch of that cottage, and there's a little information below there. He had throat cancer, is what he ended up dying of. This is a picture of him sitting on the porch, and that's the chair in the location where he used to sit and write. This is the inside of Grant's Cottage, and something cool about Grant's Cottage is that after he died, it was closed up and nothing was changed other than adding some information or some pictures, like you see the one Patrick looking at that shows Grant's family on the front steps of that same cottage, or just kind of cleaning things up. Everything is there pretty much the way that it would have been when Grant was there. This is the room that Grant died in, and while it's creepy, it's kind of cool too. What you see is his bed when he could no longer get around. That's where he passed away. And the clock over here on the mantle, his son stopped that clock after he died. So that clock has not moved since after Grant passed away in 1885. Okay, another creepy but cool thing about the cottage is if you look up here, this is what's called a death mask. They made that mask of his face after he died. And this over here, these things are flower arrangements from the funeral that have been there since 1885. The flowers have dried up, but they are still there, and it's really weird and creepy. All right, another cool place nearby that we went was Lake George. This is Fort William Henry. This was a fort during the French and Indian War when the British colonists were fighting the French colonists for control over land in the Ohio River Valley. And yeah, so that's what this is. It's just a cool old fort that you can visit. You'll see some dressed up in Scottish uniforms because they would have been part of the British Army as well. Got a cannon looking out over there. And this is another fort in the area that we visited. And this is Fort Ticonderoga. And Fort Ticonderoga is on Lake Champlain. So lakes were really important back then because that was kind of like the highways. If you wanted to get people around quickly, you would do it in boats. So this is Fort Ticonderoga, important during the French and Indian War as well, but also the Revolutionary War. And you get a picture of Patrick looking into some cannons because cannons are cool. And here's a picture looking out over Lake George and looking into Fort Ticonderoga.